You're listening to the Optimal Performance Podcast. The OPP is brought to you by Natural Stacks, makers of 100% natural and open source supplements designed to help you live optimal. For more information on how to build optimal mental and physical performance into your life, go to naturalstacks.com. As always, listeners of the OPP receive 15% off with the code MAC15. Me, Shawnee Mac. Instagram, it's The Mystic Mac. And that's 15% off your first order. And with each of these times, I'm just going to tell you what sort of products I use because I actually take a ton of Natural Stacks products. And today I'm going to talk about curcumin. The research on curcumin is there's a ton of it, and it supports cellular health. As your cells age, they get wear and tear, and they start to break down, and that lowers your level of performance. And curcumin has been shown to support healthy joint function. It maintains healthy brain function and cognitive aging. It's good for inflammation. It's just one of those things that you should be taking every day, and I do. So that's the one I'm going to talk about for today. Again, use that MAC15, MAC15 for 15% off your first order. One more little piece of housekeeping before we jump into the episode. For those of you that listened last week, you know that we're giving away the Halo Sport headset. The Halo Sport headset is the world's first and only neurostimulator to accelerate improvements in athletic performance and strength. So this is a device that looks like headphones that sends signals to your motor cortex that allows you to train better. There are NFL athletes, there are Olympic athletes, and all sorts of people, musicians especially too, to learn that sort of fine motor skills in a more efficient way so that you can perform at your highest level. I've been using it for yoga recently. I really dig it, and we're giving one away. It's super easy. So click in the description and enter your name to win the Halo Sport. Every time that you share this contest, we also enter your name again. So Halo Sport, it's a really cool product, and I know that you guys are going to dig it. In this week's episode, we talk with Alon Shabo. I just got done having the conversation with him, and it was pretty cool. It's wide-ranging. Alon is the founder of Sabaidee, and Sabaidee makes CBD extracts. And this is a tincture dropper that you put under your tongue sublingually to absorb CBD. And for those of you who are maybe living in Colorado or Washington or California or any of the other states where not only medicinal but also recreational cannabis is available, this is the future of medicine. This really is. And the company, Sabaidee, stands for not only helping heal people in a natural way through the powerful forces of cannabis, but also they give back and they partnered with a 501c3 to help plant trees too. It's a really wide-ranging conversation about the benefits, how it's used. For a lot of people, this is going to be a game changer for your sleep. This will help you sleep. GABA does a really good job of it. This does too. CBD is to help relax your muscles, help you deal with pain, help you relax in general, and get a better night's sleep. It's a super awesome informational episode. And Alon was nice enough to hook you guys up with 20% off your first bottle of Good Vibes, which is the name of the CBD tincture, sublingual dropper. And the way that you do that is go to Get Sabaidee. Sabaidee is Sabaidee for your first bottle of CBD extract, and it's 20% off of the list price of $44. So I'm telling you, it's worth every dollar. If you're not sleeping very well, you got to try this stuff because it's awesome. So take advantage of this special offer and go to getsabaidee.com. NS20. You're listening to the Optimal Performance Podcast, and I'm your host, Sean McCormick. It's the OPP. I'm a performance coach, a wellness entrepreneur, a blogger, a speaker, a biohacker, and it's my privilege to bring to you the leading experts in the field of performance. So let's dig right in.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So one of the questions I'd like to start by asking is, what have you eaten today? What time is it right now, and what have you eaten today, or what supplements have you taken?
Yeah, it's 10:23 a.m. and I have eaten nothing except for my coffee. And this is my third coffee. I put a little bit of coconut oil in it to kind of break the fast, I guess. And yeah, I'm gonna have some bone broth around 1 p.m., then go exercise, and then eat some real food, and then train in the evening.
Nice, very nice. So you have 2 cups of coffee, just black, before you do jump into the coconut oil.
Yeah, a little bit of cinnamon too.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about. Let me tell you how excited I am to talk to you because we've spoken before, and um, I am a giant proponent and advocate for cannabis, and I have been for a long time. And when we spoke before, I told you that I grew up here in Seattle, where we had access to the finest. I mean, the highest quality cannabis in the world. It was basically Vancouver and Amsterdam, and that could probably be argued here or there. But since I was in high school, the BC bud was coming down to the Seattle area, and so I've been experienced and exposed to cannabis and cannabis products for a long time, and because I'm in the alternative health and wellness universe, and I believe in preventative health and supplementation. Obviously, I'm really excited to dig into the CBD oil because I believe in it so strongly, and so I'm like over here real excited to have you. Um, Tell us a little bit about how you went from personal training and writing into cannabis oil.
Okay, so a few years ago, so I'm not new to cannabis at all. I like cannabis. I think it has the potential to help a lot of people. But a few years ago, my stepmother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was going through chemotherapy and all this, and I saw the pain she was going through and the suffering. So someone recommended to her CBD oil. So she brought this product home, and I knew what marijuana was. I dabbled as a kid, I still smoke, whatever. Um, but the CBD oil was different. So hers was a pretty strong dose of CBD. There was no THC in it, and I don't know. I saw how it was helping her. So I started experimenting with the product, and I'm a pretty healthy guy. But the number one thing I experienced with that was my sleep was way deeper, way better. I was waking up with more energy. And for me, that's kind of the foundation of good health. Like everything else is optimization. But if your sleep isn't awesome, like that's your body hitting the reset button. And I mean, there's like over 17,000 studies on how awesome sleep is. I'm not going to dabble into everything, but it basically, every organ in your body, especially your brain, benefits from sleep. And when you neglect that, you're prone for like psychiatric diseases. I think part of the reason why we're seeing anxiety, depression, all this shit in the West is so high right now is because sleep is being deprioritized. People are trading quote unquote productivity and sacrificing their sleep. Our circadian rhythms are all messed up because of light. And yeah, because of that, I think people are sick. I think, public education has failed on the importance of sleep. So anyway, back to the CBD oil. Uh, it has so many benefits, but for me personally, I felt the sleep and I saw it as potential to help people sleep better, which is pretty much the foundation of everything, like I just said. So I looked a bit more into the industry and I found out it was completely unregulated, probably worse than the supplement industry. By the way, which is why I love what you guys are doing at Natural Stacks. And you guys, part of the inspiration in starting this company is being a good guy in a pretty crazy space. So yeah, completely unregulated space. I saw an opportunity there to source the best product and bring it to people and educate them properly. And that's kind of the origin story.
Do you remember the first time that you tried the CBD oil? Do you remember like the effect? Do you remember what it felt like to wake up having slept really well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the feeling when you wake up naturally and you're full of energy. Like getting out of bed isn't a grind. And even for me, a healthy guy who prioritizes sleep, like I don't sleep amazing every night. Obviously, I'm a human. But yeah, the CBD oil, it helps. It's actually, I've been researching it a bit. It's kind of considered a stimulant. So it doesn't act like a sleeping pill. It doesn't knock you out. But what it does is it helps alleviate other symptoms that may be keeping you up, such as anxiety, racing thoughts, pain, things like that. So
Really?
it's quite interesting. Yeah, CBD is considered a stimulant. I mean, according to literature, it's all pretty. All the research is pretty new. I mean, in medical school, they don't even talk about the endocannabinoid system. So, I mean, that mixed with all the propaganda against marijuana, that's why we're probably years away from it being more adopted, especially by medical professionals who are, the authority on what's good for you. But yeah,
That's fascinating to me, and it's funny because you take this, it's not knocking you out, it's not putting you down, it's not knocking you out and putting you to sleep, but what it doing is working on all the other things that could keep you awake, that could disrupt your
yeah,
sleep. I think that's really interesting. We could go so many different directions with this because you're right. We have absolutely relegated sleep importance. If you think about sleep experts or people who are focusing on sleep, I think Ariana Huffington just wrote a book last year about sleep. Did you check that one out at all?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, and she's just
It's
on.
actually
Yeah,
one of the hotel rooms I was staying at had it on the table. It's pretty cool.
interesting. So you try this product. Your stepmom gets it. You try it. She gets it for her recovery, and you see it affect your sleep, and you're immediately what? Just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I really like this. You dig in. You start to do a bunch of research. I can just sort of picture, because I've gone through this before too. You stay up, you do a bunch of research, you figure out, you learn all the ins and outs, you realize that there's this gaping hole. There's lack of accountability and transparency, and you're like, you know what? I could do this. Why don't I just go do this? Why don't I figure this thing out and create the best possible product that I can? That's how every good business starts, I think. The other thing that I think is really interesting is that we are drawn to the businesses that we find give satisfies a personal need of ours, right? And uh, for someone like yourself who's really fit and works in the fitness industry and values sleep, it makes sense that you would gravitate to a product that you saw was effective. So tell us a little bit about the product itself. Tell us a little bit about Sabaidee. Explain the name. Explain where it's made. We're gonna need to record probably 4 or 5 different episodes together to really unpack this whole thing. But I don't want to go over, and I want to drill down on the actual quality of the product and how it works and all that stuff. So explain how you created Sabaidee.
All right. So the name, it's actually a funny story. We had another company. It was called Biotics, actually. But a couple months in, we ran into some trademark issues that a lawyer told me would be a big problem down the line. So we scrapped the name, and I was kind of stressed out and pissed off because I spent a bunch of money on design assets and things like that. So I went to get a Thai massage, which is kind of like a weekly ritual. It's kind of like a deep tissue massage and some stretching. And after the massage, I emerged with the name Sabaidee, which is actually a Thai word, which means to feel tranquil, to feel soothed, to be happy, to be content. So that was pretty funny. And most things, the solution usually comes in your sleep. Like sleep is like a great problem solver. Even Shakespeare said, sleep is the chief nourisher in life's feast.
I'm looking at the label. I'm holding a bottle, and I actually just did a dropper full under the tongue. Hold for 60 seconds and then swallow. And then you have made with organic hemp, 100% natural product. That's like, of course that should be that. Of course it should be made with organic hemp. Of course it should be 100% natural product. But even just seeing that is like, oh, okay, that's reassuring. Like they're doing this right. So explain the difference between a pure hemp extract and the cannabis plant and cannabis stuff.
So the cannabis plant, I mean, it could refer to marijuana or hemp. They're the same. We do our stuff from hemp. Our farmers, they cloned this breed after I think it was like 15 or 20 years of just crossbreeding. So they have the highest CBD hemp plant. The hemp's organically grown in Colorado. They take it to an extraction facility. Now, in that plant, there's a ton of cannabinoids, like over 100 that are documented. THC and CBD are the most known ones. THC is what gives you the psychoactive kind of I'm high effect, and CBD is more of the antipsychosis, pain, more of the medicinal stuff. Now, for some people, they need both. They call that the entourage effect. It's the THC and CBD interacting for everything. But there's a lot of people who also do not want THC for many reasons, whether that's a drug test or just the psychoactive effects of THC make them a little wild. So in that plant, we extract all the CBD out, and THC and unwanted elements are out. There's also a lot of plant terpenes, which are things that help support the CBD. They have a lot of different effects. These are naturally found in the plant, and they help support the cannabinoids. Like, they work with them to produce that medicinal effect. Each terpene kind of does something different, but you can think of them as supporting the main cannabinoid. And in the industry, there's a difference between like CBD isolates, which is just pure CBD, and full spectrum extracts, which contain terpenes and other things.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's a distinction. Can you say that again, just to clarify the difference?
Yeah, so the difference between CBD isolates is a product that's just strictly CBD, and full spectrum contains terpenes. Some full spectrums also contain THC. Now, they call this the entourage effect. It's all the elements of the plant working together. And like, for example, most of these terpenes that are naturally found in the plant, they help support the CBD.
Got it. So that you can use it, so it's more effective. The name of the product is called Good Vibes, which I just seeing the label, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like,
absolutely.
And like I said, I've been taking it for the last couple of nights in a row, and I sleep really well anyway. It's a talent I've had for a long, long time. I put my head on the pillow, and literally 5 or 10 minutes later, I'm out, and I don't wake up until my 4-year-old walks into the room at 6:30. But what I found is, just like you mentioned, is that the last couple of mornings I've woken up and felt really good, like Saturday morning sleeping in good, and that is priceless. That is such an amazing feeling, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to test, like to track sleep with the product, without the product, with the product, to like track how much REM sleep am I getting, how many sleep cycles am I getting into. So shake well before each use. Use 1 to 3 times daily as needed. Place under the tongue. Hold for 60 seconds and then swallow. Keep at room temperature. And for those of you who have never tried a CBD product, there's no psychoactive effect. There's no high, there's no stony, there's no nothing. It is a bodily sensation. It's a feeling of relaxation. It's a feeling of ease that comes without the sort of paranoia or mental stimulation that you may remember from smoking stuff in college, or maybe you're a cannabis user. There's nothing like that in the CBDs, and so you just get this good body relaxation that apparently helps you sleep. So tell a little bit about how you use it. When do you use it? Do you use it every night? How much? How often? Any stories of people in your life that you've seen use it to any sort of specific effect? Can I cook with it? Do I have to put it under the tongue? Can I put it in a smoothie? All that stuff. How's it used?
Yeah, you can definitely put it in a smoothie. I put it in my coffee sometimes as needed. This morning, no. It's more, I take it as needed. So if I'm kind of feeling a little bit of anxiety or a little stress, I take it. Like, that's how I recommend people take it too. It's kind of an as needed thing. I take it before bed most nights. I take about 2 drops and just relax. The best thing that ever happened to me was my mom got off her sleeping pills because of CBD. And her, like most Americans, I don't know what the stat is, 1 in 6 or something crazy. They're on all these psychiatric meds, and they just carry a host of fucked up side effects. And that's part of our mission here too. I can't state it too publicly because I don't want to piss off anyone at Big Pharma, because those are the true gangsters of America. They're probably worse than the Mexican cartel, but Yeah, that's a big fuel in our mission is actually helping Americans get off it and do something more natural. And it's crazy. A lot of things are coming out as people are kicking the opioid addiction with CBD. Like that's becoming more and more common, and I hope that gets widely accepted soon.
Yeah, I can speak from experience with people in my life that have been able to get off anti-anxiety medications and muscle relaxers because this does both. This helps you feel more at ease in a natural way. What do you think is the biggest thing standing in the way of because I sort of picture like the baby boomers generation as a massive audience of population of people that have grown up with the demonization of marijuana. You know, like you and I both probably experienced the DARE program, but our parents, they grew up thinking that reefer made you crazy. They grew up thinking that marijuana is the same thing as heroin. They grew up feeling like the narrative was to demonize and to marginalize and to sensationalize the use of cannabis. And so what do you think is standing in the way of just the lid being blown off where everybody is using this in an optimized way to live a better life and get better sleep and have better bodily comfort?
Yep. I mean, so we're heading in that direction. Like I'm seeing it getting more widely accepted, and even in super kind of conservative states like Idaho, for example, they're passing bills to try to legalize this stuff. So we're definitely going in that direction, but it just, yeah, like you said, the decades of propaganda really took their toll, but it's a matter of authority. So once this stuff gets federally legalized, which I think it will in the next years, I mean, I'm betting on that. I'm in this space. Once that happens, once medical professionals, those are the authorities, right? We have a shift kind of in consciousness today where people question things. This is more of our generation. People question things. They seek their own education. But if you're talking about boomers, like someone in a lab coat is an authority.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, doctors don't really, some do, but the majority don't because medical school doesn't even talk about the endocannabinoid system. And that's what CBD does. It just helps that system. And that's like, what is it? It's like your body's way to regulate itself. It's your natural healing mechanism. And that governs like functions in your brain, your reaction to pain, everything. So yeah, I mean, it's like a top-down thing. I think once the government says it's okay and once doctors say it's okay, then everyone else hops on board. But for now, that's our mission. It's kind of be like, hey, give this a try and see how you feel.
Yeah, it's a natural product that you can take every night if you want, that will help you sleep, that you won't get high from. Like reminding people over and over and over, like you're not gonna get high from this. You're not gonna feel spacey. You're gonna feel relaxed, and it's because it's working. Because there's no THC in it. Do you think that this product is for everybody? I mean, obviously,
no.
Okay.
No, I don't. No, I've had customers even report some weird side effects to me. For example, someone took it for sleep, and like I said, it's a stimulant, and it's really interesting because the results I've seen, and I'm speaking just with my own customer base, have been so variable. People are taking it for different reasons. I have a guy with anger problems taking it. That made me smile. He's like, "Hey, my kids like to be around me." I'm like, "Fuck yeah,
yeah."
That's awesome to hear. No, I experiment. I think everyone, if they're seeking relief, should try it, but it's definitely not for everyone because some people do have weird reactions to it.
Any other examples of women who are pregnant or people who are on SSRIs or anything like that?
Yeah, it does mix weird with some drugs, especially if you're taking sleeping pills and stuff like that. So that's one. Pregnant women, the research is not conclusive, and I don't recommend pregnant people try this just because I don't know, and I'm not in a position to play doctor either.
Right.
But yeah, those are the main two things. Another group that's really seeing benefit out of this is PTSD people.
Really? Tell me more about that.
I'm just hearing, I have a customer who told me, his dreams are less violent and they're actually happier and he's waking up better. Someone just plagued by terrible dreams.
Wow. So it's actually affecting their mental states while they sleep, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's like before bed, it reduces your anxiety or racing thoughts or things like that. Like I said, it's not a sleeping pill. It
Yeah.
just helps the symptoms. It helps the systems that might interfere with your sleep. This stuff isn't a magic pill. It should be taken as part of a wellness routine.
Right. Right. This shouldn't be the only thing that you're doing to get good sleep.
Yeah,
Speaking of that, do you do any sort of like biohacks or anything for sleep? Do you have like a chili pad or a grounding mat, or do you take cold showers before you sleep? Any sort of any stuff like that?
yeah, definitely. I definitely lower my body temperature before I sleep and sleep in a cool room. But I don't know. My number one biohack is the sun, right? So that's the number one. Light is the number one regulator of sleep. So first thing in the morning, I'm sun gazing. My brain's like, all right, you have this thing in your brain called adenosine, I believe it's called, which is the receptor that makes you tired. And that's what caffeine does. It hops onto the same receptor and it kind of mutes the adenosine. But from the minute you wake up, you're accumulating adenosine, adenosine, adenosine. And then, the sun is like reset time, end of the night, darkness, melatonin. So my ritual is all about light. So I don't know, 2, 3 hours before bed, I'm like, pure darkness, maybe like a candlelit house. I
Really?
get my yeah, definitely. Little salt crystal.
Yeah, man.
Just try to lower the lights, and then that's it, man. I'm winding down. I try to stay away from my devices past like 8 p.m. Airplane mode, no more computer. Even if it's a pressing email, it can wait.
Sure.
I'm reading on my Kindle with blue light, some light fiction. I'm just tuning out. It's like a new day. It's time to reset. That's been a big thing for me, especially when I run into trouble in life. I'm like, you know what? Just a good night of sleep will solve everything. And I wake up fired up, usually with a solution, or especially if I feel like shit, a good night of sleep. It's like the highest God.
Yeah.
That's the fuel behind this business. Yeah. There's definitely a failing in public education about sleep.
Yeah, well, we glorify overworking, we glorify the grind, the hustle. It's like, and that's fine. Work hard, that's great, but also take care of yourself. Also take care of your sleep and your food and your nutrition and the love in your life. That's really cool to hear. I mean, you're really living the lifestyle that you're promoting too, which is, to I mean, to turn off the lights in your house and to switch to airplane mode and read for an hour or two before sleep is what we all should be doing, and throwing on some blue blockers in the evening time, if you really do have to look at if you have to look at a screen. But it's about lifestyle management, and I think that the listeners of this podcast can really appreciate that goal of managing your lifestyle to have discipline around the things that serve your higher purpose, that make you perform at the higher level. And sleep is such a pivotal thing. It's like, why wouldn't you try a tincture that tastes good? I mean, it's cool mint, right? It's this light oil. It's this light coconut oil. It tastes good. It doesn't have a strong flavor. Like, why wouldn't you try that in the evening time? Why wouldn't you experiment with the prebiotic plus that we carry at Natural Stacks, which tastes like cinnamon and Christmas. Like, you stir it up at night and you drink it before as you're starting to wind down for the night. Like, why wouldn't we all take a little bit more time and energy to make sure that we're getting the sort of sleep that we need? Tell us a little bit about your guys' partnership with the 501c3 and the sort of advocacy piece of your guys' company.
Yeah, man. So we work with a charity called One Tree Planted, and they're our USA Connect. But what they do is they find reforestation partners around the world. And right now we're focused on North America and South America. So every bottle we sell enables us to make a donation to our partner, who in turn uses that money to plant one tree. So at the end of the quarter, we make a donation based on sales to them. And I think that's next month. And I'm actually going to meet with them and get my hands dirty and plant some trees.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, part of the reason of doing that is like, obviously money's important, but it's not the thing that fuels me. And when I started this, I was like, let's do something that makes a difference. And there's like a few tiers. It's like, A, it actually fucking works and helps people. Awesome. And then B, it's like we're actually giving back. And yeah, it feels good, man. I don't feel like some kind of greedy capitalist. I feel like a dude trying to do good in the world and using my, my skill set to make good things happen. And I think our customers like that, and that's why they choose us, because we're not some faceless synthetic cannabinoid company just trying to squeeze out profits and doing everything. We're giving back, and yeah, it's not profits first here.
Did you guys start with, and I'm saying you guys, do you have partners and investors and like how big is your team?
I got one full-time guy in LA, and the rest right now, contractors, partners, etc. I'm actually going to Colorado in about 2 weeks to meet with our suppliers, hang out with them. We're doing R&D on a new product, which is again back on sleep. It's like a melatonin chamomile CBD mix.
Yeah, dude, that
So
that sounds great.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going to kind of check on the status of that and experiment with it for myself.
Yeah. Did you start the company with the intention to partner with a company with a NPO like One Tree Planted? Was that in the like fabric of the
Abs-
origin?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I mean, I think that's part of the formula for success today is just the landscape shifting. People choose to do business with legit, transparent companies who are doing good in the world. But yeah, it was all dreamed up before. I mean, this was kind of my dream company. Like before I even discovered that it would be a CBD company. I
nice.
was like, I want to do something that aligns with my values, that helps people, that we can give back, and that has an impact for massive, that has a potential for massive impact.
This is checking all the boxes, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels good, man.
How long did it take to get to settle on this formula? How long was the process of testing and R&D and all that?
Yeah, it was probably about a year, and that process looked like first learning about the industry and avoiding the rampant bullshit and kind of figuring out how things work. Then it was kind of vetting all the different suppliers and growers and seeing who's legit and kind of tracking down their customers and getting samples of their products and testing them. Then there was independently testing samples we received. Then it went to a production run. Then it went to independently testing that, and now we have a product we're happy with. It was about a year.
But that was a long year.
Yeah, it was funny, man.
Well,
Yeah, I was
anytime that you create something that you're passionate about, that you're waiting on somebody else to like get back to you on, man, those are long days. I know how that goes.
I know. You just gotta sleep, and you're one day closer.
Hey, get some rest, man. It's okay. Just get some rest.
Deep breath.
What should everybody know about CBD products? Like what do you think? Like what is think of like a frequently asked question. I mean, not somebody that's totally naive to CBD products, but what does um what's a common misconception about these sorts of products?
Like you said, does it get you high? It's not marijuana, and some people are taking it trying to get a crazy mood change and that, and it's not that. It's a bit the mind state altering thing is you might feel more relaxed while feeling alert and upbeat at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's the big thing. I think most people they're curious about CBD. That's what I'm seeing, and they're just kind of waiting for that push to try it. So that's a big part of our mission is education and also reversing risk for people, being like, dude, just try this. If you don't like it, keep the bottle. We'll refund you. All good.
Again, accountability and transparency, right? I mean, it's such a basic thing now, but we as smart consumers just expect that now, right? Don't we?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right? Do the right thing. If I don't like it, can I get my money back? Being accountable. Um, I'm curious about. Well, I'll just tell you. So I was over with Ben, the co-founder of Natural Stacks, and we're having a little like get together over at his house, and he was cooking for everybody, and he was cooking this pasta dish, and as he's serving it, he said, I put some CBD in your guys' dinner. And the mix of reactions at the table was really interesting because there was 6 of us, and I think 3 of us were like, "Oh, nice, thank you, dude," and 2 of us were like, "You did what?" And one of the persons was like, "Dude, I can't eat this. I can't even eat this now." And it's like, well, you work, you're with the Natural Stacks team, so it's not like you have to worry about doing anything sort of fringe, But for the people in the middle that were like, I have some questions about that. But it was interesting to see how people reacted to that. But Ben, that's what he did. He just put like 6 droppers full in the in the pasta sauce. Do you have other people? Do you know that people do that too? Do they add it to their food? Do they, I'm just picturing the different applications of this and when and how. Like, is that a common thing?
Yeah, I've seen a girl put it in her morning. What does she have? She has like some coconut probiotic yogurt. I've seen some pictures of that. I drink it in my chamomile tea at night, sometimes in my coffee. And then I guess the most common thing is people are putting it in their like smoothies and protein shakes. This is the first time I've heard of cooking with it, and I'm not sure if the heat might affect the CBD, but that's awesome. And at least you get some organic peppermint in there. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that would be an interesting question if the heat does affect it or neutralize. I don't know. How often and how much do you use it? I'm curious. It's your stuff. How frequently? And I know that you kind of mentioned a little bit before that it's just sort of on demand. It's kind of depending on whether or not. Just like an average day is. How do you use it?
So the most ritualized way I use it is at night before bed. Probably every night, about 2 droppers. During the day, it's as needed. I use like if I get pissed off and stressed out, like if something on my Shopify store is not working and my developers are being retarded, I'll just take a few droppers and take a deep breath. I'm like, oh, this is trivial. It's not a big deal. But that's what helps me the most is when I have that. And I think I'm genetically predisposed to stress and anger, which is why I got into fitness and meditation in the first place, because I've seen my father and how bad it affected his life. So yeah, maybe 2-3 times a week during days, just depending on the day, and probably almost every night. Some nights I don't take it if I don't feel like I need it.
I think that the efficacy. I not to get too lost in the weeds on epigenetics or genetics and stuff like that, but I think that now we all are looking for things that especially this audience is looking for: tools, products, techniques that will help them live their best possible life. And the products, of course, that we carry, especially the serotonin brain food and the GABA brain food that we carry, are specifically for people who are overstressed and over anxious that need to relax. And serotonin is all about a positive mood, and you can take that in the morning, you can take that during the day. I tend to use it in the afternoon if I've had a crazy morning, my employees are being silly, or a conversation didn't go well, or whatever, or as a coach, as a life coach, I'm dealing with other people's stuff every single day. In each one of my sessions, I'm helping people work through a challenge, right? And the products that we carry are an excellent assist in me and my meditation practice, in my flotation therapy practice, in my breath work, the stuff that I can do normally to like chill out and still keep an even keel. And if more people knew that there is a product that works really well, I mean, your guys' reviews are great. Again, the product tastes good. It's been effective for me in getting quality sleep the last couple of nights since I've been experimenting with it. I think if people knew that there was a natural alternative to anti-anxiety medication and even like muscle relaxers and stuff like that, I think that it's how do we get the word out, Alon? Like, how do we reach? Well, I guess we're doing that right now. But how can we educate people? How do you educate people?
I just try to reverse the risk on people. I mean, I educate them. The jury's out on that it's good. It's overwhelmingly positive. I mean, all the studies related to cannabis are all fairly new, but nothing shows anything negative. I mean, CBD at least. But I think it starts with one person at a time, man. We're focused on one customer at a time. I mean, we're a fairly new company, so I'm still reaching out to every single customer. I'm talking to them, and when they end up being not only repeat customers, but end up telling friends and family, I think that's what it is. I think the general consensus, not just with CBD, but a lot of just adoption of new products that are just new, right? I think the big thing is people may know it's good and they've heard about it and they've seen, and that's kind of where CBD is at. Even CNN did a special on CBD a few years ago.
Right.
People are kind of waiting for that human, that credible push. So whether that's, an influencer with an audience that's trusted them, just the mom who tried CBD and her life changed and now she's putting other moms on it, So we're just focused on one person at a time. That's kind of our philosophy.
Yeah.
So everyone we do business with is super important to us. And I, like me and a few people on my team, we're personally reaching out to people and trying to have conversations to see and learn from them, because this thing is super variable. So I'm still learning every day about it.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think that there's still some demonization around it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it
absolutely.
is it ignorance or I mean, we touched on it a little earlier, but do you think that this is because we've been told that any sort of hemp or cannabis product is bad and we're just going with that? Is that it?
Yeah, it's that, and refusal to change. And also ambiguous legal policies that probably have a lot to do with business and money.
Yeah.
It's a mix of things.
Let's talk about the legal issue and the accessibility, because people can purchase their product online and then you ship it. Like, what are the legal implications of all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's ambiguous and a lot of it's up to interpretation. A lot of CBD businesses will say, yeah, this is fully legal and we can ship to 50 states, which we can, but I've been told it's up to interpretation. Like on the federal landscape, it's kind of weird. So, yeah, I mean, there was a farm bill in 2014 that said industrial hemp is legal to grow and sell. So most people are riding off that bill passed by Barack Obama. But when I had a conversation with some legal person, they said, like federally, it's up to interpretation. But I'm seeing, like, there's a grocery chain in Colorado called Lucky's. I believe they're like 30, 40 stores. They carry a whole line of CBD products. So I was like, if a company this big with so much to lose is taking a positive step in the direction, I'll follow their footsteps. And I'm pretty sure they know something. Yeah, I think people like Jeff Sessions and that they have bigger problems to deal with. We have an opioid crisis. And I think at a press conference, I don't know if it was him or someone on his cabinet, they said CBD is helping people get off opioids. So obviously,
duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Duh. Do you, when it comes to the future of this industry, do you think 5 or 2 years from now that there's going to be a wide array of CD products available at the supermarket and it's just going to be a common, it's just going to be like any other sort of common vitamin or supplement?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing coffee shops now and health shops adding CBD to coffee or adding CBD to smoothies, but that's definitely where I see it going with a whole variety of uses. Some people like CBD lotions for pain, which works extremely well. But yeah, definitely. I mean, going into this, I don't consider us a cannabis company, and we're actually trying to avoid that kind of stigma. We're more of just a general health. This is good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's the future, not just of CBD, but of the cannabis space in general. Like, you're going to see more like cannabis wines, and I think Alcohol's popularity is going down a bit, which is why you see these big alcohol companies investing in marijuana firms now.
Yeah.
It's an interesting shift that's going on for sure. And I think once federal regulations clear up, like you'll see a floodgates of crazy things happening in the space.
Talk a little bit more about, because I know what you're talking about, but tell a little bit more about the alcohol switch, the companies that are investing in cannabis, agencies and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a ton of money going from big alcohol companies to big marijuana companies. I don't have the specific names and transactions on mine, but you can do a quick Google search. And I think it's a shift in consumer preferences. Like, the world is just becoming more healthy, right? People are, I don't know, alcohol's cool. I like my wine, but it makes you hungover. It makes you fat. It makes you drunk drive. It makes you make questionable decisions. It makes you wake up with weird strangers. I don't know, like, I think the future is functional marijuana. So it's like, the corporate person might have a energy drink infused with THC that accelerates whatever. The fitness buff. When I was younger, I used to smoke before I went to the gym, and I used to have some of the best workouts of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the future of it is kind of functional stuff, and that's also what we're trying to do. We're in R&D with a new sleep product, which is just designed here. Take this to sleep. Here, take this if you're stressed out. I think that's just the future, not just for cannabis, but just kind of every kind of supplement type product.
Yeah, I think that for the folks that are dealing with some tough stuff in their life or highly stressed, which all of us are because of push notifications and because Netflix is a thing, it's so easy to be distracted, and it's so easy to be anxious. And with depression as the number one mental illness on the planet, with a high comorbidity rate between depression and anxiety, like if you got one, you're more likely than not have the other. Like, I think that people are finally coming around to alternative healing, alternative modalities, alternative health. And that's because that's the space that I'm in. I'm just like waiting for people to come around, right? Like waiting for them to accept, do their own research and accept new lines of products. Again, like the brain food, the brain food line that we carry, flotation therapy, Wim Hof breath work, sauna, cold plunge, these sorts of tools and techniques that this audience, that our listeners are up to date on. Like, cannabis is such a broad spectrum of potential products. Not to mention hempcrete, where you can build your house with a sustainable product that's basically concrete made of hemp that's resistant to bugs and mold and decay. Like, I think people don't realize the application and the efficacy of hemp-based products, clothes, paper. I mean, you name it, oils. You can run a car on hemp, and I think that people are opening up to the possibility because the proof is in the pudding. If it works, then you should keep doing it. And if there are no side effects, if the side effects include being more chill, then you should definitely explore it. You should definitely take a look at the wider range of applicable products. And it's exciting to me to hear that you're already looking at additional products. Like, I think people know chamomile is relaxing to you. And what was the other ingredient in the other one that you're working on? Melatonin, right. I mean, I think people know that there are supplements that they can take that help them sleep. And I think that we're just so close from your company blowing up, right? Because people are understanding it at a deeper level, and it works. Any other like anecdotes from people that have been using it and really loving it? Like, do you have like a favorite customer?
That's like asking a grandma who's the favorite grandkid, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not fair, but still.
Yeah, no, I like all the things that come in. The most common things are someone who's stressed out at work, someone who needs to sleep better, I think one of my favorites is probably the dad who has anger problems and he takes it to chill out, and now his kids like being around it, because I grew up with like kind of a angry, stressed out father, so that one kind of hit home. I was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, how long does it take to kick in usually for most people?
So it's variable. Most people should feel results in 10 to 15 minutes, but some people's systems don't feel anything. And in that case, you need to take it consistently for at least probably like 4 or 5 days. And then it kind of takes hold. Like I've had plenty of customers who, they're like, this shit doesn't work, give me a refund. I'm like, yeah, I'll process a refund for you. But I'm like, please, I'm like, did you try it consistently? They're like, no, I tried it once. I'm like, okay, try it for about 3 days around the same time, around the same dose. Like sometimes it kind of needs to accumulate in your body. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's super variable. I'm learning every day. It has a lot to do with your biochemistry, so it's up to experimentation. But for most people, one dropper is kind of like the minimum recommended dose. That's about 8.3 milligrams of CBD in our Good Vibes bottles. And yeah, you should feel in like 10 to 15 minutes. And if you take it during the day, I've been told, and I feel the same way, it's kind of like an alert chill. Like you're not sedated and like slow. Your kind of mind is still working. You're just a bit more relaxed. So it kind of promotes clearer thinking for me.
Yeah.
But then I've had someone also take it during the day who's like, it made me too relaxed and I'm not good on my business calls. And I'm like, okay, take it at night.
Right. Or take a
So
half a dropper.
Yeah, it's definitely up to experimentation, and it's very subjective based on the person. I'm still learning every day with every email that comes in what it's doing for people.
Yeah.
Which has been super super interesting.
How are you guys getting the word? I mean, besides going on podcasts, like how are you guys getting the word out to people? What's your best way to reach people?
Yeah, we have a few influencers that are talking, and people trust them, and our customers are doing word of mouth. So that's a really good sign for me. We haven't really turned on the big marketing beast. We launched 3 months ago, so we're kind of past product validation. Now we're just making sure our customers are super happy and seeing that they're buying again and telling their friends, and that's a fucking amazing sign for us that that's happening. It's not like oh, this was cool, thanks. It was like, oh, this was cool, I need 6 bottles now.
Yeah. I need it, and I need to give it to my coworkers, and I need to give it to my mother and my brother and my cousin. Everybody should be taking that.
That's what's happening, and we feel pretty good about this, which is why any of your listeners who are curious about this, they can take a bottle risk-free. They don't like it, it doesn't do anything for them, drop me an email personally or drop the company an email and you'll be refunded.
That the perfect opportunity to sort of give us your contact information. Tell us where people can find you, where they can buy the product, where they can get a hold of you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the site is getsabaidee.com, GETSABAIDEE.com. I'm sure that'll be listed on this page somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me personally, I like to connect people on Facebook. So facebook.com/SHABO. That's my last name. Add me, send me a message. We can chat there. And yeah, those are the 2 best ways. If you want to email me, just go on the website and you'll find my email on there.
Do you, as an entrepreneur in the cannabis industry, what do you think would help the industry as a whole? Like how do the listeners, how can I personally, how do other people that are interested in the advocacy aspect, how can they help businesses besides buying the products? How can they help these businesses succeed? Like what's one thing everybody can do?
They can share their experience. Like everyone has a voice today, whether that's Facebook, email, even just telling your coworker in person. We're all just so interconnected that one, positive reinforcement goes a long way. I mean, for us, that looks like please leave a review, please tell people about it, etc. I mean, there's a big lack of trust in this space. It's half due to no transparency and a lot of questionable companies like coming out, and also the other half is just the demonization of marijuana, cannabis, hemp. So it's kind of a mix between those two. But it just starts with every person. That's our philosophy.
Yeah. Individual after individual explaining why they like it and telling their friends. What do people what should they expect with this product and with other? I mean, you can't really speak for other cannabis products. What other cannabis products do you like?
I just take the CBD right now.
Yeah, you're not taking anything else.
No, not at the moment. Sometimes I enjoy a nice rolled up blunt, which is kind of like a cigar with marijuana in for special occasions.
Right.
But yeah, I used to smoke a lot. I've cut my consumption of smoking and THC down significantly, just because I think personally I'm prone to some, I don't know, psychiatric issues, and I could feel them kind of being exposed when I have too much THC. So I kind of got off it, and CBD seems to be helping with what I have, which is depression, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that honesty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took one dropper probably about a half an hour ago. And what I've noticed, and this is now, I guess this would be day 3, and I haven't used it during the day yet, but since we're, when in Rome. So I took a dropper, and what I can tell is, that spot kind of in the back of your neck, that's like at the top of your back and the bottom of your neck, relaxed. Like we're you and I are both, in this flow state where we're having a conversation and thinking on our toes and stuff like that. And what I've noticed is that in the back of my neck, I have tension has decreased. My shoulders have kind of gone down and back. And I don't feel foggy whatsoever. I don't feel scattered. I mean, I don't have that, what I think some people would expect to take from taking a product like this. Again, because you said it's a stimulant a couple of times, but I don't feel like, oh man, I'm so relaxed, I don't want to do anything. It's like I feel a bodily release, but I'm still super dialed and sharp. It's a really nice effect.
It's an upbeat kind of relaxing, kind of like how I'd expect like Floyd Mayweather, how he's so cool, like on the big night type thing. Like you're ready for anything, but you're just naturally kind of feel better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to explain it. It's like a very cool confidence, but it doesn't make you, one of the stereotypes is lazy or so chilled out, man, where you're spaced out and you're like, bro, I just want to watch TV. No, it's not like that at all.
No.
Actually, I write better on CBD because my thoughts are clear, and that just may be because it reduces anxiety and clutter and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's almost like a little bit of a flow state. It's almost like, the things kind of align, like this thing comes in, and the sort of overall wellness that I get from some of the natural stacks products, especially like the serotonin brain food during the day. It's like positive, it's relaxed, without being like sluggish or dull,
It's very interesting to see how those two products might work together in synergy, because CBD works on your serotonin in your brain as well. That's part of your endocannabinoid system. And that's part of the reason CBD is kind of anti-psychosis, is because it has effects on your serotonin. So
yeah,
super interesting, man. We're probably years away from really knowing, how they interact and what's going on. But so far, everything's good. I don't try to speak too conclusive because everything is fairly new and the research is fairly new. So most of what I say is just based on, conversations with my customers or my own personal experience. But the scientific literature is overwhelmingly positive. I just don't cite it too much because everything's kind of fairly new and there are no like crazy studies. Actually, I think I have one. Let me see if I can pull it up. So actually, this is a big pharma study. I don't know if I want to talk about it. Yeah.
No problem.
But basically they took a synthetic CBD and they followed 2,000 patients with cancer, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and like other like really painful things that, screw up your sleep. And they reported a very good sleep quality with no tolerance or need for dosage increases. This was a 4-year study on 2,000 people with those things. So over 50% of them got sleep. But that's a synthetic CBD, and it's a big pharma study, so there's a lot of biases there.
Sure.
Yeah.
At least it's a step in the right direction, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's pretty crazy in the space is a lot of companies are selling synthetic CBD, from China or from their kitchen sink. I'm not sure. And like, there's been people going to the emergency room with crazy like issues because they're inhaling or ingesting the synthetic CBD, which is kind of causing havoc for people. So that's probably the biggest dangerous thing in this space. So
How
definitely,
what should people do to avoid that? Were there keywords that they should look for?
I mean, you do want an organically grown CBD. Um, but no, there's a few good companies in the space, and I think people can see who's good and who's out. And I mean, the number one thing is, are things independently lab tested? But also in this space, there's a lot of, there's like forgery going on. I've experienced that firsthand. So, buyer beware, caveat emptor. I'm not sure what it is.
Just do your research beforehand.
Do your research exactly.
Know what you're putting in your body. I want to talk about the economics of the thing. I feel like I want to talk about like the potential. I feel there's all these different ways that we can go, but we're kind of running up toward the end of our conversation. You know, what's 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 the future? What's the future for you? You're doing R&D on a more specific melatonin and chamomile product. Like, what do you see, like a daytime CBD coming out? Like, where do you see the future of CBD oil going?
So we're just headed towards functional stuff. So if you're saying future, like there's a CBD just kind of fortifies every product, right? I think it might be just an ingredient that like everybody wants all the time. Maybe like, how coffee is so widely necessary. With us, we're just going towards functional stuff. So a CBD post-workout supplement that helps with your tension and muscle recovery, for example.
Yeah.
That's the future, like functional cannabis, basically.
Do you see a potential where people gravitate towards either certain products or certain strains of CBD that work best with them? Is that a thing?
Mm, so with like CBD exclusive, there aren't strains like marijuana where they're like Granddaddy Kush and things like that. But the growers I met with each kind of had their own plants that they developed. So yeah, I think people may develop preferences based on that. Yeah, like our growers, for example, they have these clones of this plant. I think it was like a 15 or 20-year process where they were just kept growing and making it better and better and better and better. So that the plant is like the lowest in THC, the highest in CBD, the most terpenes. Um, yeah, but there's definitely preferences there, especially with something as subjective as this. Like one thing may not work for someone, and it's same with smoking marijuana. Like different strains have dramatically different effects for people.
Yeah. That
It's preferences.
that's kind of what I'm thinking, like if you know that you like a 50/50 hybrid from like a smokable standpoint, you like a 50/50 hybrid, or you like an indica heavy or indica dominant edible or smokable or something like that. I feel like that level of intricacy and attention to detail and strain and so forth is probably going to extend into CBDs, where people say, okay, I like this product. I like Sabaidee because it just agrees with me more than this CBD oil company or that CBD salve or rub or whatever. Like, it just works better for me, or I like it better, or this one makes me too sleepy too quick, or this one makes me like, anyway, I feel like that level of discernment between the different products is probably coming, which is great for you because then you can have a larger range of products, like you said, like a post workout recovery, a sleep, a mood, whatever. I think it's really exciting, and even though people and growers and scientists smarter than you or I have been developing this stuff for a long, long time, we still don't really know the potential of it. We're just getting started. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
We're just getting started, man. I don't need to say anything else. I mean, back in the day, cannabis was medicinal. This is like, back in the day, even the U.S. government required farmers to grow hemp during, I think it was World War I or II. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was sometime in the 30s when reefer madness and like government regulations happened. And it's been like, there have been some studies and some movement on it. Like, for example, CBD was discovered in the 60s, the compound itself. But it's been all pretty quiet. Studies haven't been very giant and conclusive because of these regulations. It's hard to research stuff. But now we're in like a new age where not just states in the U.S., but countries are legalizing one after the other. And I think a lot are following the U.S.'s lead on that. So I think the landscape's headed to, okay, this is actually good for you. We were wrong. And that'll just open more research and more products and more utility and all these things. But like you said, we're just getting started, man.
Yeah, I definitely can envision the ubiquity, like you said, like people just like coffee. They know the kind of where it's from, how it's grown, dark roast, light roast. They use it every day. It's something, caffeine is the mass fuel for so many millions and millions and millions and probably billions of people.
This company would not exist without caffeine.
Likewise. Right.
Yeah.
Likewise. I mean, I would be less effective. And I see it too. I see the gravitation towards CBD products as everybody will be using this because it just makes sense to, because it's effective and it's a great alternative to all these other things. I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited for the potential, and for the potential of your product and the fact that you're only 3 months in and you're cooking like you are. That's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to where this thing is going. Can you tell as we sort of take this thing home, can you tell people again where they can get a hold of you, where they can purchase? Of course, this podcast is going to be accompanied by notes and so forth. You get a money back guarantee. Just give us all the details.
Yep. So our website is getsabaidee.com, getsabaidee.com. And if you're listening, I think Ben, the co-founder, has a discount code for you guys, which will probably be on this page. Like I said, try the product. If you don't like it, get your money back. You can personally reach me. I like Facebook. I like to see people's faces. So facebook.com/SHABO. I'm this shirtless dude climbing a mountain in Nepal. Just send me a message. Let's chat. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the notes will have it. I don't think anyone actually listens and it's like writing down the website and stuff.
It's true.
But I mean, just to piggyback on what you were saying before that, and then we keep getting off track, which is pretty cool. Hang on. Who's calling me? Ignore. Sorry. I think cannabis is being widely accepted because it's offsetting the damages of modern life, which is, like I said, workaholics, unnatural lights. Most people are sitting in artificial light all day, slouched, just Netflix, push notifications. Our brains are not used to this stuff. So cannabis is helping healing that. And I think that's why, mental illness is like at the highest it's ever been. It's just due to all this unnatural stuff. And I know we're both aligned with our mission to help people live more optimal and healthier and happier, which is why I'm honored to be speaking with you guys.
Well, it's great to have you, Alon. I like your product. Ben likes your product, and we're excited to see where you guys are headed.
Awesome, man.
That'll do it for this episode of the OPP. Alon, thanks for joining us.